Awesome.
Recording is in progress, everybody. So watch P's and Q's, please. So welcome everybody to Simply Tech Talk. Today we have Jeff as our guest speaker. We are going to be talking about content marketing with Jeff. So we'll just get straight onto it. Jeff, fire away. If everybody else wants to stay on mute, and like I say, we'll do the Q&A at the end. Um, Over to you, Jeff.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. Grateful for the opportunity. It is a content marketing conversation today with me. We will be focusing specifically on the importance of content engagement because content marketing itself, kind of a broad concept, drilling down specifically into why it's important to make sure we're actually getting through to people, our content is resonating with our audience, etc. So what I'm going to do, I'll share my screen momentarily. I will be touching on the 5 C's of content engagement. And what I'd like to do is go through all of them fairly quickly just to make sure we get them all covered. I don't want to get stuck on, say, the third one, go off on a tangent. Next thing I know, I've used up my time and didn't get to the last 2. So go through each of the 5 fairly quickly. We will save questions till the end. If you do have, as questions arise, feel free to jot them down on the side. I'm happy to answer any and all questions afterwards. Just kind of as a general rule of thumb, content marketing, content engagement, it is a subjective process. There are not necessarily strictly right or strictly wrong answers. Yes, 5 different people about content marketing, you're probably going to get 5 very different subjective responses. It all depends on you, your business, your employees, if you have employees, your products, your services, your audience, your goals, so many moving variables. So really, unfortunately, perhaps it takes a while to determine what works for you, your business, with regard to a content marketing strategy. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All righty. And do we see my screen? Excellent. All right. So like I said, today is going to be about content engagement, specifically with regard to the 5 C's. We've got clarity, we've got consistency, we've got creativity, we've got credibility, and we've got centricity. It's a soft C, but it's still a C. So first and foremost, maybe I'll just give a brief definition of content marketing, not an official one. Content marketing is about creating content that could be blog posts, social media posts, images, videos, etc., that are designed to help designed to help promote awareness and community around products and services. The sales part comes later. You need an effective marketing strategy in place to generate the awareness before you can even really think about the sales process. So you're creating content designed to generate engagement around products and services. So with regard to content engagement, starting with clarity, you want the content to be easy to understand by users as they progress through the buyer's journey. Let's say it's a social media post. Let's say it's a LinkedIn post. I have heard the expectation that it should be, you obviously want it tailored to your audience, and that's why audience personas are important. Can I just get a quick show of hands who's heard about the importance of defining a persona as you're crafting your marketing plan? A little digital hand went up. Thank you. So as far as clarity, I've heard the claim that any content you create, it should be understood by a 5-year-old. That can be, there's some wiggle room there, some argument, but you definitely want it. You definitely want it tailored specifically to your audience, to your persona. You don't want to just be blindly typing up stuff, just kind of, randomly putting your thoughts, onto your computer and just hoping for the best. You really want it to be as crystal clear as possible for your audience. Moving on to the next one, like I said, we'll go through them kind of quickly and then we'll circle back. Consistency. Content is shared regularly in fostering brand loyalty and trust while encouraging repeat visits. Consistency is key. On LinkedIn, I believe LinkedIn is my most effective content sharing platform. I only post once a week, which seems to work well for me. I believe on LinkedIn, You really only need to post once a week for LinkedIn to view you as a regular contributor, and thus they push your content higher and higher in people's news feeds. So it's not about in a given moment I want to share content. I want to just like post something here or there. I'm going to post and publish 30 posts today and zero tomorrow. That's a great way to get burnt out. Instead, keep it consistent. Once a week might not sound like a lot. You'd be amazed at how quickly that adds up. Plus, there's something to be said about structure and routine. Some weeks, maybe I don't have the time or the energy to post. I find a way to carve out just enough time to at least keep up the consistency. So it's not about full blast, post whenever I want, post a bunch today, post, not much tomorrow. Have a cadence, have a structure, have a consistent approach to your posting. Moving on to creativity, content is distinct from that of competitors, creating a user experience that's equally unique and memorable. Now, with regards to competitors, I would say it's not a bad idea to research what they're doing, not so that you can match it and kind of blend in with them. That would be not ideal, but so that you can do better than it. You can stand out above it. Creative content, depending on your industry, it certain industries they really favor like video content, maybe even AI generated content. Other industries, just short form or long form text tends to do the trick. For example, in the financial industry, I don't know how adamant they are about images or videos, media items. I feel like their message could get across pretty effectively with just the data. So it depends on your industry, excuse me, but you do want to make it stand out to your audience. You want it to go above and beyond what your competitors are doing. It sounds a little, you want your images, your media, your content, whatever it is, you want it to be better than your competitors. I know that sounds obvious and it maybe even sounds a little tacky, but it is all about leveraging ourselves above those that we're trying to do better than. So, common sense, but worth stating. Moving on to credibility, effective content establishes authority while generating trust that ultimately leads to sales. So not everyone's going to agree with your content or like your content. You will get naysayers, internet trolls, haters who just, they're going to push back on it just maybe because they don't have much better to do. State it, post it, share it with authority. That is, you want conviction, you want assertion, you want to own what you're posting, what you're sharing. Even if you're not even, you don't want to be dishonest, you don't want to be disingenuous or inauthentic, but even if you're not 100%, convinced that it's 100% accurate, own it, know it, love it, live it, share it, and have your audience kind of feel the same. You want your message to resonate with them through your confidence. Finally, centricity, the soft C. Effective content addresses the audience's specific needs, increasing customer satisfaction and loyalty. This one actually kind of ties in with the points I was making about clarity. Effective content is incredibly clear to your audience, whatever that may be. The centricity, you want to keep your audience in mind at all times. How are you going to solve their problems? How are you going to make life easier for them very specifically? If it's a blog post, it shouldn't be just about, oh, well, I enjoy writing and this feels therapeutic for me. It's like a diary, I can just kind of type what I think and hit post. If you do that would be fine, but that wouldn't be content marketing. That would be personal. As far as the audience, the potential customers' needs, problems, how are you going to make life easier for them? To make it political for a moment, why do people vote for who they vote for? Because they believe said candidate will make life easier for them, solve their problems. They overlook a lot of stuff because they want life to be easier. Kind of the same principle here. How are we going to solve the problems, make life easier for our specific audience, for our persona, if you will? So there you have it, a fairly high level, relatively fast overview of the 5 C's of effective content engagement as an important component of content marketing. You got clarity, you got consistency, you got creativity, you got credibility, and finally, the soft C, you've got centricity. Five, I would say equally important, kind of not interdependent. What's the dependent on one another. The five C's that are equally important and dependent on one another in an effective content marketing strategy. With that, happy to dive deeper, answer your questions if you have them as best I can. Why don't we go ahead and open it up?
Excellent. Thanks for that, Jeff.
Thank you.
Five C's could have been risky. So we know how that's gone previously, especially when we've got Leon in the room. It is good. I like. I obviously agree with the old consistency from the Love Monday networking kind of post that goes out Sundays, Mondays every week, 99% of the time. It's funny how those sort of posts get a lot more impressions than they get reactions, but they get the post that goes out afterwards actually does better than the one that says come along. Always interesting to see what does make people take notice. So you sort of put that consistency for me goes up every week, and then I post something out. I was on the train the other week, and that just went through the roof. And it's quite surprising what people actually do pay attention to. Rick, you got a question?
No, just backing up something Jeff said. Posting once a week, which I was doing for a little while, but not business related, but just posting once a week. I was amazed at the traction, not just that people liking it, etc., but suddenly I'm being exposed to all kinds of different individuals. So yeah, on LinkedIn, it does work. When I first went onto LinkedIn with a previous business, I was posting products left, right, and center 5 days a week. Nothing. So yeah, you're bang on there, Jeff. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I'll be making some notes down here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. And yeah, no need to burn yourself out trying to quadruple your following overnight. That doesn't work anyways.
No.
Social media platforms are intended to not let that work. They want the consistency, not the consistency over quantity. Thank you, Rick. On to you, Leon.
Yeah, I was just wondering, at what point does it become too much? At what point do you post too much?
At what point are you posting too much? That would depend on the platform. For example, on X, or formerly known as Twitter, Kelly, I believe you said you kind of threw in the towel on that. You couldn't get logged in, and you said, "Okay, well, that's a sign from the universe that I'm out."
I'm out.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Believe it or not, they want you posting like all day, every day, and they want you engaging with other posts. They want you literally replying to lots and lots of other posts in order to get your own posts to perform better. At what point is too much? At what point is it too much? Depending on the platform, I personally think it's best to research each one individually to
Say for
determine.
LinkedIn, 'cause that's one most people use.
Say that again, Leon.
I would say probably LinkedIn, because obviously that's what most people use here for sure, I would imagine.
Correct. So I would say, I would personally say anything more than two a week is maybe not too much, but unnecessary with regard to, oh boy, there's a difference between too much and unnecessary. I would say unnecessary with regard to once or twice a week, you're already staying relevant. You're already getting your content prioritized via the algorithm. At what point is it too much? To answer your question more specifically, when you start to feel burnout, when it gets to the point where you say, "I'm not going to post this week. I'm sick of creating content." At that point, I would say you have technically posted too much. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Leon. On to Laura Barrow.
It's not so much a question, it's just to say that what you've put there kind of resonates with me as well, because in my job, having been a journalist, it's very similar. So I just want to say it's really, really good. And also add that the point you made about, the language, to keeping it simple and straightforward. When I first started in journalism, when I was doing my apprenticeship, I did a feature on some local gamekeeper. I started off on the local paper, and I was really pleased with it, and the editor was really pleased with it. And the guy that I'd written it about, he actually phoned me up and he said, "This is written like it's written by a 12-year-old." And I thought, yeah, because it's not overcomplicating things, it's using clear language. So I was a bit like, oh, that's not very nice, but I was new to the job and it happens all the time. So just want to say, yeah, there's some very good points made. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. Real quick, I want to follow up on something Kelly shared a few minutes ago. Kelly, is there something to be said about the consistency as far as your social media management through the Trusted Business Community Association? Are there weeks you're just maybe like tired and especially busy, or you're on the train? And is there something to be said about the routine that you have created that's kind of deeply embedded into your lifestyle, that kind of helps keep you going? It just kind of becomes automatic each week with your
Yeah,
posting.
there is. Yeah, so the event for Mondays will generally be done on a Wednesday or Thursday, depends on how busy the day job gets or if I've got time in the evening. So it doesn't take that long. So that's always a Wednesday, Thursday job. Maybe Friday evening, afternoon, I'll try and create my post that goes out on my personal account on a Sunday, and a few other groups, like the Trusted Business Facebook group on Sunday, and then they're all scheduled to go out on Monday. Now, if I forget or I'm too busy, then it's a wing it job and it'll go out. I will create it on Sunday and post it straight away. I do that sometimes because I know LinkedIn is not a fan of scheduled posts, but because I have got a day job, I do run my own little business. I don't always have the time, so scheduling is, I need to be, this is my focus, this is when it's done, and just it's part, like I say, it's part of my routine really. Same for Tech Talk, so I know when it's got to be done. I'll do the post the week before. It's in my note, it's in my calendar. Make sure you do this. This is what's happening next week. And because I am a project manager, it's quite easy to plan, if you like. It's just what
Second
comes
nature for you.
naturally to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. While we're all here, maybe just to take this final step further, maybe just a real quick rundown of what I would believe each of these 5 C's helps to prevent. I would probably a lot, but maybe the key one per each: clarity, I would say, would prevent confusion. Consistency, I would say, prevents burnout, so that you're not overdoing it some days, underdoing it others. Creativity would prevent maybe disinterest. Credibility would prevent maybe distrust. Centricity would prevent irrelevance. You want it to be relevant to your audience. So just thought I'd take it a step further there. These are so key, not just because of what they do, but also because of what they don't do, what they prevent. And I believe the chat is disabled, but I would encourage each of you, feel free to write down maybe your favorite or your one that resonates most with you, one that really speaks loudest to you with regard to your content strategy. Mr. Sean, go for it.
We can open up the chat just now for everybody to do that. I'll do that just now.
Yeah, hi Jeff. Brilliant presentation, mate, as I would have expected it to be. So thank you very much for the clarity that you've obviously given on the 5 C's. The just to sort of, you was talking about once a week posting on LinkedIn, and obviously apart from events that we put out every week, literally every week, that come under the Trusted Business Community page. One of the things that I do every Friday is obviously the Friday shout out, which has become something that people are looking out for. And looking at the the impressions that I get on the Friday shout out, they do vary, but on average they're hitting somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 impressions on it, and that's because I believe, and maybe you can clarify this, and this is why I'm asking the question, I suppose, that one post that regularly goes out on a Friday afternoon or late afternoon, early evening, is something that some people are now sort of linked into and are following regularly because it's a regular Friday post. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
That is exactly what I'm saying, and I love how you said they're linked into it. I saw what you did there. Sean, I really like and appreciate your Friday shout out. I believe we all do. What I would say, yes, we are trained to have that kind of prioritized in our news feeds. Granted, we also get the notifications via the bell. But what you're doing, one thing you're doing very well with that, you're tagging relevant people. You are not making the mistake of just tagging every person you can think of. I once worked with a guy, bless his heart. He, in a LinkedIn post, he tagged all of his fraternity brothers from like yesteryear. And when I say yesteryear, I mean like decades prior.
Right.
You don't want to do that. That is irrelevant. Allegedly, now the LinkedIn algorithm is ever changing. Unfortunately, even the ultimate LinkedIn experts will probably never quite master the algorithm because it'll just change the next day anyhow. But allegedly, if you tag people that aren't into it, aren't engaging, aren't reacting, aren't commenting, allegedly it at least slightly hurts the reach. But Sean, you're tagging people obviously who have attended sometime during this week, and the majority of them are engaging, reposting, commenting, reacting, etc. So that is a very important best practice. And let it be known to all of you, please tag responsibly. That goes for companies, that goes for people. Please do it with intent. I trust you all do. Keep that up. Keep up the great work.
No, thank you. As I say, it's obvious to me that, I can remember there was one time over the last 5-6 years that I, on the Friday shout out, just over 5 years, isn't it? That I did it on a Saturday morning, and people were messaging me on the Friday going, "Where's the Friday shout out?" And it was literally because I was just so snowed under, I just couldn't physically get it done before the following morning. So I said it's coming, and I think I put the Friday shout out on a Saturday, and I actually made a bit of a joke about it, but the key was obviously people recognised it wasn't there. It's amazing how many times that you think, oh, is everybody listening to it? Some people that have not even engaged in it are suddenly asking where it is. And you may not have tagged them, but they're still asking, so they must be following it. So that shows that there's a following even behind those that have identified themselves by making comments and shares and likes and loves and all the rest of it with the emojis. But there's still a great amount of people behind them that are still keeping an eye on that post without actually making a comment. So I think it proves that, like you say, consistency on the posting is creates obviously everything else, including the credibility as well. So because people start to look out for it.
It's probably a lot of people. I mean, you probably noticed that there are people that lurk, there are people that watch, but don't necessarily contribute anything. But it doesn't mean to say that they won't come to you in a year, 2 years, 3 years time, and then ask for your services or pop into your DMs and ask you for a chat, phone calls. I mean, it's happened to me on a couple of occasions over the last few years. People I haven't spoke to in 10 years would then message and say, how's it going? Free for a chat. So you just got to remember, it is people will see the consistency. If you've already got your credibility, then it doesn't mean to say that they're not going to come back to you later on.
Absolutely. That's perfectly said, Kelly. And Sean, before that, I would say I have heard that only 10% of LinkedIn users are like actively posting, commenting, engaging, etc. 10%, that's quite low. I've heard that 90% of users on LinkedIn are lurkers. Maybe it's not still 10%, maybe it's a little above or below, but yeah, they are seeing it. A lot of people are seeing it even if they're not engaging. I'm not sure why the hesitancy, but it is what it is. And Sean, with regard to, just for example, your Friday shout out post, unfortunately, it'll probably never be 100% of those people tagged engaging. That's okay. Might not even be 50%. That's okay. The majority are seeing it. They're expecting it. They're messaging you when they don't get it on Friday. The LinkedIn bar, they're not going to penalize you if, 80 to 90% of those people you tag don't engage. It's not like that. It's going to be a sliver, to bring it back to the beginning of the call. It's going to be a sliver, but a sliver on LinkedIn is kind of like a mile in the real world. So, yeah, your Friday shout out posts are obviously effective. They're consistent. They're centric with regard to the audience. But the LinkedIn is just kind of a different bird like that. It is a little weird how there are lurkers, how it's all just one sliver that we're trying to make as big as possible. Is that helpful at all?
It is, because let's face it, we're never going to beat the algorithms for any social media, are we? So
Ever.
it's one of those, don't get upset if somebody doesn't like your post kind of thing, because it doesn't mean it hasn't been seen. It's just not had the interaction that you would prefer. But it's one of those, isn't it?
Exactly. And they might, and just to kind of bring it back full circle, they might like it or even love it in here and in their heart, even if they don't put a thumb or a heart on it, digitally. So it's a crazy,
It's a crazy world.
Yeah, crazy and unpredictable, but we keep the consistency. Well, we keep them all. We keep the clarity, the consistency, the creativity, the credibility, and the centricity, just as content engagement best practices.
Fabulous.
Awesome, mate. Thank you. Anybody got any other questions or observations at all?
There's a few messages come up in the chat.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Go and read them out.
So for Laura, credibility, and from the PR perspective, it's also thought leadership, promoting people and what they do as an expert in their field, being able to back it up. Kay likes the information about consistency, and has felt it all too easy to burn out on social media. Consistency and credibility for Carolyn, credibility for Leon, credibility and being trustworthy for Bill. All very, I think we're all on the same page, I think is what that comes down to. But yeah, that's great. Thanks. I mean, would anybody like, and Jeff, can you put that slide into the chat so people could download it if they wish to?
Happy to, absolutely.
Just as a little reminder for people. Obviously, if you've got any other questions, then you know where Jeff is. I'm sure you could always ask him some questions on the drop-in tomorrow, but see if he's awake enough to answer them.
This has been great. Thank you all so much. I will stop sharing in 5 seconds. I'll do a slow countdown. If anyone has any final questions, thoughts, feedback, etc., you got about 5 slow seconds to do so while this is up.
5 slow seconds. I like it. Ian, did you want to stop the recording as well?